win this round, we're just money.
Exactly. Do you have that kind of confidence versus this caliber of an opponent? Team EnVyUs going to be expected to go through this group with a 2-0 record. That's what they're shooting for here and now, and they will be starting off on the CT side to get this one started. NBK with a frag and the defuse kit for the counter terrorists. It's Kevlar all across the board, while OpTic coming to this one with that heavy armor as well. It won't be the tactical play in this one, Garrett. Looks like they're just going to be congregating themselves inside of the lobby. Already we've got the entry. It's Apex who's going to be finding the opening frag. NBK with the frag takes down the other. Mixwell trade frags back. Naf still inside of the mini. Does distract the player long enough, but it's a 2 versus 3 to the favor of the defense. Trade frags back. Sixer and Happy standing at the end of the round, and EnVyUs to start this one on the strong foot.
Yeah, you know, like I like what EnVyUs did there, because like when teams on pistol rounds especially, like if a team rushes outside as a terrorist, it takes time for them to get to the site and actually like, gain in and plant the bomb, but you want to stop the initial rush inside. And they did like what OpTic normally does, which they overwhelm. And what a good thing I like to saw there was Stanislaw using the outside rafter to come in and flank late.
Yeah.
Because that could be one of those game changers where like you want to go even inside on the trades, but he'll be the game changer that does basically brings it back around. But sadly, he wasn't even able to get a frag.
In this round, we're just going to have that bolster Tech 9 by immediately. The pace once again set quickly, exploding themselves into the A site. It's 3 players onto it. Happy chiming in with 3 of his own off the shotgun. Big play from him as NBK cleans up shop. He takes 2, and it's EnVyUs with the conversion, making this one look easy.
Oh god, I love that duster. We have to go back to that. We have to do it more often because kind of like what Ryu said about that duster. He seems like he should be sweeping floors in a school. Like we need someone to take a picture of this and add like a wooden handle to it and make a broom out of it because it's
what's wrong
beautiful.
with being a janitor?
It is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor. It's a noble profession.
Back to this one, number 3, EnVyUs. Of course, once again, going to be on that front foot. We did see OpTic really try to take that fight. Now, I mean, there was nades in that buy as well, a couple of them. I wasn't quite sure if they got to execute all of them before their players started dropping, but this time it should be EnVyUs finding the round with even more ease. We've got Kenny S on the outdoors area, man side by side with an SMG as well, and Happy reinvest into the Mag 7. So we do see him not only finding cash flow in the previous round, but looking to replicate that here and now. Kenny S with the long distance MP9, finding 1, but traded back 4v2. And again, this is just OpTic trying to deal damage while the CTs look to farm some moolah.
Yeah, like right now they're just trying to basically get the economy, right? So obviously losing the second round on a forced buy and only getting 1 frag out of it. These are the kind of rounds where these are so important to try to chip down the CTs and get them to have to rebuy, so they have to invest more money, because right now, like again, I think they're going to be very well on the money side of things. I'm curious to see how many of those weapons they actually keep over into this round to actually see if they pull it out. Like if they win this round clean with like the mag and maybe an ump or something like that. I think, for example, right here, if they win this round clean, they just have too much money to overcome, and OpTic's going to be looking into a spiral basically happening to them.
Exactly. Would you agree that obviously Nuke is one of those maps kind of like Train? If the CTs get that early momentum, it can be incredibly difficult to break through it?
Yeah, it's one of those maps where it's like, if you lose a bunch of rounds early, it's just devastating to the mind, because it's such a hard, like, basically it's so many things that can happen that you just don't, like, you don't want to give them momentum, because it's just devastating, because you just don't, what do we do? And right now they're going back to what they did against CLG, so not CLG, NRG, where they did like pack of wolves outside, 4 guys, 1 guy hold lobby, typical stuff, get control of the backhauls downstairs in secret. But right here they lost a man, which is devastating, because when this happens, now it's like, okay, the original game plan might have changed, so we need to find picks, and there you go, Sandstar starts it up.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed. They find equilibrium back into the 4 versus 4. Now they do still have the presence from OpTic inside of secret, as well with the bomb carrier outside of mini. There's a heavy presence on the outdoors. So Stanislaw not only finding 1 frag inside of hut, kind of bringing it back, but now he's allowed to flank over towards the ramp. Nafly finding an entry inside of mini, does make the A site fall. Sixer from on high, going to be trying to hold the line as NBK from the vents does play that thorn in the side. He is just going to be coming up, distracting. We can see Tarek, his attention completely allocated to that opening, and Sixer's in a fantastic spot right now because he can't be spotted from below. Stanislaw was inside of heaven, never got the chance to take the frag, and NBK is going to get this one started as Naf is now the last man up. Now, of course, Sixer revealed, drops into the site, but he's being sandwiched here, makes some space by taking the man off the back line, goes for that fast repeat to try and catch him off guard, but Sixer's too quick, and that's EnVyUs with another round.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that I think it was Stanislaw on the outside rafter didn't know that Sixer was basically beside him, because his teammates started planning before it was even cleared, and he got fragged by Sixer, and then Stanislaw, I think, got killed by NBK outside. That's just very unfortunate, and just it's one of those things in CS that you can't help sometimes, where it's just you could literally be beside someone, not realize it, and then the round's over, even though OpTic played that very well, and we're again trading and finding picks. It's one of those things where, again, like this is where the next gun round, if they lose that one as well, like that's when the mental game starts to kick in, and that kind of hurts.
Yeah, you can see Naf trying to find the tight angle with the Deagle, looking to pop a couple domes, and instead, it is he who is splattered on the back wall. But Mixwell going to be picking it up, trade fragging back accordingly, 4 versus 4 as the smokes do plume on the outer yard. Of course, this is going to be building some ambiguity, not sure where these terrorists are coming from, and Stanislaw with a quick execution in from Mini with a headshot to Happy Taboo. Now we do have the 4v3, equalize back once more as the heavy players rotate on through, but there's a double kill from Stanislaw. Big play to make this a 1v1. Kenny S from Mini coming in with that op, 2 flashes to play. He's going to be trying to connect the shot as he pushes on forward. He closes the distance, takes him down to 3, but it's Stan who prevails and OpTic on the board.
That gives you, see, right there is what you need. That basically gives you the breath of life right there, where you now you're back into like, all right, these guys are nothing. We got this, and it's nice to win those rounds where it's just like a force, like a Tech 9 armor bias. You see that happen so much in CS where AK's rounds don't work out, but then you buy Tech 9 body armor, and somehow you're able to win these rounds. And now because of that, look at their economy on EnVy. Like they're in trouble now because they lose this one. They got the 4 save completed the next round after that, and now because of that round, OpTic is in control of the economy if they keep it going.
I mean, this time we're going to be having the CT smoke kind of push back these terrorists. It just goes to show that there could be the CT close to the red box on the other side of the mini corner. It just creates this this kind of unknowingness with the outer yard. So it is going to be Kenny playing from the back of the red box, but of course he only has that CZ in hand. It's not going to be too great for him, but luckily NBK nearby to support as we do see the terrorists throwing out their smokes yet again. In the previous round, we saw Stanislaw wrap around through mini off of this very same play, and this just goes to show the variation that Ryu had brought up on the analyst desk. The terrorist side not going to be doing that as of yet. They have the AKs, but again, Kenny's so close here. He's within that range of lethality, but Tarek takes him down with the back turn. Naf from on high going to be looking to deal with the players in Garage as it's a second man down, and the terrorists with the 2-man advantage.
Did you just say range of lethality?
Yes, I did.
That is a new one.
Thank you.
That is definitely a new one. I'm very impressed with that. That was pretty good. Yeah, they changed it up a little bit there. They actually had the 4th player not actually outside at the initial, and just in case, I think it was the guy in the lobby, I think it's Stanislaw, got pushed. Nope, it definitely wasn't Stanislaw. He's now downstairs. But again, like these are, like, if they win this round clean, which is beautiful, like again, they're going to be saving. Like right now, Sixer and NBK need to give this up, unless like they're basically hoping for a miracle because this
is a big position.
This cubby is annoying.
The bomb's going to be going down behind it. That's going to be allowed Tarek to fall on back, but Tarek grabs the headshot. So Sixer was there kind of looking to find a big opportunity. It was one of those spots where either it wasn't going to work at all or he was going to catch the entire terrorist side off guard. So unfortunately for the side of EnVyUs, he goes down for free. It's going to be 5 players standing on the side of OpTic Gaming, and they're looking to sweep this one under the rug cleanly. NBK, the only man up.
With the duster.
With a duster, yeah, exactly. Very according, as though NBK pushed back from the fire. He's going to just save at this point, obviously. The exit frag's not coming his direction. They're a step ahead here, OpTic. In 2 consecutive rounds, this is exactly what they needed.
You just saw one of the things right there. They had 5 guys alive. They made it downstairs to plant the bomb, and there's so many nooks and crannies on this map to watch that even with 5 guys alive, they didn't check that. And like obviously Tarek planned safely, which is smart. But again, it just shows that this map, there's so many things that could happen, especially when you take outside, when you take inside, anywhere you go, there's always somewhere they can be. You need to keep your head on a swivel and be looking around at all times because you could be up numbers 2v4 downstairs as a terrorist, and the next thing you know, you're just getting cleaned up because it's just so many things that can happen. You can rotate around so quick.
Now, an extra little thing here that's going to be bolstering OpTic's confidence is that even though the strong start from the counter-terrorists put them at the advantage, economically speaking, that has now been dwindled down. So that early momentum, Garrett, that we said is so important has now been dealt with, and it will be OpTic heading forward in the healthy state of affairs. Rush looking for the entry frag, but it's NBK on the CT side to find the first. From up high, here inside of Heaven, he spots the man on the cross. So there is no wall of smokes, and that doesn't pay off for them as they do lose it 1 player in the process. Now, Kenny tapping away with the CZ. Great marksmanship with that. It will allow now for 3 players on OpTic's side to have to deal with this. We said it, of course. The pistol round is how OpTic got their 2 started. For it to come back for EnVyUs on the opposing side of the coin, it would just be a real heartbreak for the side of the terrorists.
Yeah, you didn't see the smoke throwing down this round because I think they expected him to full save. And when you expect him to full save, you kind of don't want to throw down the smokes because it leaves the option of if a team's saving, they're going to try to do something aggressive and try to do something cheeky, like push through the smoke with the flash, or just like they're trying to find ways to get kills. kills.
Yep.
And if you have the smokes down, it gives them that chance. But they just want to play distance with the AKs and pick them off slowly as a group. But then I think the spacing on them actually was they're pretty far apart, where NBK was just picking someone off and there was no one to trade with them. And obviously, Kenny just tapping it in, just tap it in.
I mean, that's one thing, right? You know NBK saves the rifle, and where else is he going to play with that? Is he going to be trying to hold inner with an M4A1S? I mean, if anything, it makes sense to keep that range, right? It's what the rifles on the terrorist side are trying to play. So it's great positioning from him. He has the pistols nearby to support, and that's how they find the second. It was just a great start, but OpTic have really slowed down the pace of this round. They've been able to just start creeping their way in through the lower halls. They will find Sixer on the B site once they start opening doors, and Sixer with a USP finds himself the frag. This is just OpTic crumbling here in round number 7. NBK with an additional frag, and it looks as though they have done it. EnVyUs, a clean sweep themselves, 0 deaths in the process. What a fantastic round for them.
That is devastating, and it's such a turnaround for the economy of EnVyUs right there, because all of them survived. They picked up weapons. They just got a big boost to the economy, and now OpTic's back. They basically switched over where they can get broken this round. And obviously EnVyUs, like, if they win this round, again, if they can try to win it clean, I keep emphasizing that, because these are rounds that you really want to win clean, to just basically, now they can, this was looking like OpTic had control.
Exactly.
And now this is going to be on a flip of a dime. This can be completely changed with the next round right here.
That is potentially a half-changing round in and of itself. So keep it in mind moving forward if we do see EnVyUs get themselves back into that bolstered momentum. But for the meantime, we will have the terrorists with some early presence on the outer yard, then transitioning back in towards Hut. So we could actually see them try and play this out towards the ramp, or also explode into the A site, because Nafly's smoke here should be landing on the inner side of Mini. But the window wasn't broken, so it's not going to be entirely perfect. This could create some space for the CTs to play around. We see
look at the
KS
rotations,
transitioning in.
Look at the rotations. They've now pulled 4 guys inside with this, so I'm hoping that this is a fake or something, because they're about to walk into the blue wall.
There it is. Kenny S is going to be finding himself one, traded back by Naf. It's a 3 versus 2 to the favor of the defense, as Naf and Mixwell do find another frag. It's again traded accordingly, so the CT's doing a good job of handling what's being thrown, but that's a fantastic headshot from Naf to bring it back to the 1v1. Sixer's position is unknown, and Naf does have the molly, so he pops it over towards Squeaky to prevent that flank from being pushed, although he doesn't realize the man is there. Of course, the bomb down in the open, waiting for Sixer. It's going to come down to the duel, and Sixer wins it. His positioning unknown. Just great play from him to at least bring this one, although very costly.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take one of the phrases from Moses right now, and that was sick. Nav did a great job of turning that basically around, gave himself a chance, brought down the economy of EnVyUs with that, because again, you know, when you're up like, what, 3-on-1, 4-on-1, right there, it's kind of hard, it's really hard to win those rounds in the first place, but if you can chip him down, it's a great way to start. He just showed basically a case of excellent awareness on getting those picks, and the skill was great.
That could be a huge 1 versus 1, even maybe as big as the round they threw away versus the pistols, because now it is what forces OpTic back into the save themselves. We do have Naf playing some Kevlar with the Deagle, a couple of P250s on the board, and a single flashbang for Stanislaw. So really the bare bones minimum for them to play with, and losing a man early on to the op of Kenny S is not how they wanted to get this rolling. Now, of course, there is still presence from the terrorist. Apex nearby to support. He's going to be looking to find himself more than one, but he is denied. Rush doing a very good job of making that a one-and-done situation. Kenny S, though, switching to the sidearm, going to bring it back with another frag. Happy chiming in with the Mag 7's going to make some cash flow, and yet again, EnVyUs with a convincing outcome.
I want to see OpTic right now, if anyone watched their match against NRG, they had a strat where they actually did the wall smokes outside with the smoke on the outside rafter that Rush was actually hiding in. So when they made contact with the guy outside, the guy in the smoke in the rafter actually swings out and basically trades out that person, which would be a good strat to do to basically pick off Kenny S outside if he's going to be shooting at the guys trying to take outside. That would be nice to see. And right now, I want everyone to pay attention to EnVyUs on this map, because when they played CLG, and like the rotations on this map are so crisp that they just have the awareness to know, yeah, you know what, this is not a fake, and they rotate quick, so no matter what part of the map you take, you're going to walk into 2 or 3 of them at least.
Notable as well, we haven't seen OpTic go towards ramp whatsoever. There was the one time we saw Stanislaw kill the frag inside of Hut and then transition there for info. Uses it for the flank, but no real duels kind of changing the pace of the round as of yet from those positions. Now, we do still sit in the 5 versus 5. We've got still more than a minute on the clock, so we could see either team play the pace slowly, but Apex finding one frag is going to elicit the push. The terrorists coming on through are tumbling one after another, leaving only 2 left standing, and Tarek as well. Not quite long for the world because he's being overwhelmed from all directions. It will be EnVyUs once again finding themselves around Garrett. What can OpTic do?
Call a timeout. This is about the time to be calling the timeout. They've lost consistently all the rounds that they've had. Like now, it's like they need to call a timeout and basically work out the issues of what they think they need to do, because they've done their inside take. They've done their wall of smoke's fake to inside take, and then they've done the outside one, but they put no pressure on the ramp yet. And if you put no pressure on the ramp, you're leaving inside to have at least 3 guys potentially, and then a quick rotation to ramp. Like there's nothing that they can do right now. That they need to put pressure on all parts of the map because they're just getting too. They're being really readable right now.
Yeah.
And again, if they did the homework and actually EnVyUs did the homework, they would have saw these exact strats being played out. So that was their variation of it. So the smoke's outside. They'll think we're trying to go down again, and then that's basically their variation. So now that that didn't work, it's like they tried to outside take, they tried to inside take, they tried to outside fake take. When those don't work, it's like, okay, now is when you start to tilt, and you're like, okay, we just do what we had at them. What is the game plan now? And this is where the in-game leader of Stanislaw needs to really pick up because he needs to read this team as best he can.
Now, one of the things as well that would make OpTic a little easier to read is that NRG have a very passive CT style, or at least they did yesterday, versus OpTic. Because of that, OpTic were allowed to play their strategies however they wanted, which does give a very good showcase to that tactical prowess. But if you're able to watch it being panned out without it being interrupted, it's going to give you so much info to counter-strat. EnVyUs are doing the opposite thing. We can see, of course, T's pushing in towards Hut. They're immediately enveloped from the flank, and this time it will be, of course, Envy on the kill feed once again. No surprises, as it was, of course, just pistols and armor. 2 players still standing, and you can see it here. EnVyUs immediately starting to just circle around the offense, box them in, although, however, they're nowhere to be found. OpTic have put themselves to the opposite side of the map. Kenny S now making contact. It was Dust who said that the op works so well when it's in Kenny's hand at that range, and that's an excellent bit of evidence just to kind of prove his point.
Yeah, you just tell by the way Kenny's playing right now that he's just showing absolutely no respect right now because he's just going close range with the op, not caring because they haven't really punished him at all at any round so far. And it's so hard on this map. It's such a molly-friendly map as a CT side on the CT side because like if you get full utility, yeah, he doesn't seem happy. You're winning the round, bud. Relax. When you have the economy that they have, and you're able to buy, everyone buy mollies completely safe, all full nades, it's so hard to do an inside take because, again, one drop of the molly can just destroy that rush. If they try to take ramp, one molly can destroy that rush, and it's hard to go against this kind of economy, especially on a map like this that's so tightly wound.
Yep. Another thing also we haven't really seen them go for is that very quick kind of squeaky to vent execution.
Yeah.
Exactly, the door rush that was just kind of such a classic go-to tactic when it came to the older Nuke, but we don't see it, at least not here today, as it will be at least the silver lining, Garrett. OpTic, they've got their hands on some AK-47s, they've got incendiaries and utility to play off of, and now we see them transition back to the outer yard. This is the more traditional wall of smokes we saw them use yesterday, not the one that goes closer towards the blue box and the outer side of Mini, but really what does kind of solidify them in towards Secret. Now, unfortunately, there is kind of a man here on the receiving end of things. NPK going to be spraying away Molotov to buy some time, but Stanislaw aggressively peeking to his demise. That one's not going to pay off, as now the man advantage going to be firmly in the hands of the Frenchman.
Stanislaw just tried to burn at the stake to get that frag, and it didn't really pan out for him. But I think NBK doing that yesterday, where he actually held that same angle with a smoke, so that when he got spotted, he dropped it, so he had basically a free escape. But there he decides to use the molly. He could have got caught out there if more people than Stanislaw actually went out and tried to trade him. But they would have taken a ton of damage.
Speaking of getting caught out, Naf catches himself inside of the A site. Happy never sees that one coming, and he's blindsided from on below. So we do have this brought back ever so slightly. Of course, time starting to dwindle down towards the 30-second mark, so we will have OpTic having to pick up the pace of the round. Now, Sixers positioning on high from heaven with players underneath as well. It's going to be OpTic having to deal with many different angles, but at least Naf finds an additional frag traded back from Sixer, but the HP on the counter-tear is so incredibly low. Mixwell going to have to get this bomb on in. He's got the cover from behind and therefore planted, but NBK clearing out one, leaves the man on the site himself, and he has to give up his back to Sixer, who drops from above, and that one, again, just EnVyUs costly, lots of damage dealt, but still they come out on top. And at this point, with this sort of a lopsided scoreline, it doesn't matter about how you get the rounds, just the fact that they're on the board.
Yeah, they just basically, you know you're losing the half right now. You just want to try to chip out as many rounds as you can because it is still, as of late, a CT side map. So you can still bring it back. It's not a problem. You just got to get, obviously, win pistol problem and just go on a run. But you saw progress there with how OpTic did that strategy. They went outside, they did the same thing they normally did. But the thing that's saving them on these rounds is the fact that Nafly is actually getting these picks while he's a solo man in the lobby. With those picks are giving them a chance, but if they don't get that pick, the guys outside aren't really doing anything like to basically make EnVyUs worry because they're just sitting back being like, all right, come to us because it's not going to happen.
They're waiting to receive, but they should be the ones giving it, at least here on this T side, because clearly no success.
Do you want them to give it?
It was supposed to be low-key, Garrett. Now you've made it obvious.
Are you a giver?
On the CT side, still standing, happy with the Mag 7 again. So a bit of confidence, right? I mean, this is the kind of commitment off of the weapon that can be powerful in certain circumstances, and it's hard to counterplay when you really can't get that close to somebody because the shotgun will prevail. But if Happy gets taken out of the comfort zone with the shotgun, then maybe this is allowing OpTic to find some sort of an opening gap. But of course, Happy pushing forward, trying to use these smokes accordingly. There are two players waiting in the mini side from OpTic as well as Lobby, spreading themselves thinly across the map.
Yeah, you see this even back in the day with, I believe it was Hiko. He'd always buy shotguns on inside, even when he had the money for M4s, which is, you know, it's kind of a little bit bizarre because right there you could have got that trade, but instead he doesn't get the full frag with the gun because it just did, what, 90 damage. So it's kind of bizarre to see that when you have the economy, but he just must be really comfortable with it.
I mean, that's just a huge exchange of frags, leaving Mixwell down in towards the B site. He'll be able to find the bomb plant in the 1 versus 2. Now, let's not get unrealistic. He's already found 3 frags in the round, but with 9 points of health, there is a very thin line between him, life, and death. Mixwell, up close and personal, as Sixer's going to be holding vent, allowing for NBK to rotate elsewhere. He is, of course, waiting for the smoke to fade, and as Mixwell tries to create a gap, take that 1 versus 1 duel, it just doesn't pan out to his favor, and EnVyUs once more, even though losing 3 players, find the round victorious, 11-2.
Yeah, even when you have no help like that downstairs on this map, and the 2-on-1 is still very winnable because there's so many things, like so many places you can hide, so many, like you can move around, rotate very well, and you can still win these rounds pretty easily, even in a 2-on-1 with low health. It's just what you saw EnVyUs did there was something that G2 didn't do earlier on this map. It was a 2-on-1. They stuck near each other, so that worst case scenario, if someone died, they would actually have the positioning and be able to trade it out. Compared to when I believe G2 did it, Smith went up the backside of the vents while his teammate was coming down the ramp, not even close to each other, and got picked off, and they left it to a 1-on-1. They stuck together and played as a team.
That's a nice bit of utility usage to deny the opening frag grenade of Mixwell. He pops the door wide, trying to find the angle into the site, but he has to slow down. This has given time for Kenny S to reposition himself inside of the garage, and for Apex, again, to be playing this upward position that has worked out superbly. Of course, Happy on the outside of the hut as well, here to support any sort of a push. Meanwhile, we do have OpTic starting to peer over towards the ramp room.
This is the first time they've done it. It's on the 14th round. But again, that utility that they have on the CT side, it's going to delay them and basically deny them the access to actually get in that hall. But they're putting pressure on there, hopefully for the guys outside right now that are working it. I think, no, who is that? I think it's Stanislaus working the outside rafter. No, not even close. You can't tell on these maps on this. Oh, casting this map is a furious thing.
Nuke, my friends, as NBK finds the opener. It's Stan himself to be taken out of the equation, leaving it to the 5 versus 2 as Kenny chimes in with 1 to his collection. Both of these terrorists going to be grouped up over towards the ramp room. Sixer catches them with their pants down, and that's an easy 2K for him. So it will be EnVyUs once again with a victorious round, and things have not slowed down for their success. Garrett, I'm starting to feel bad for OpTic.
I don't feel bad for OpTic because they're the ones that wanted to get towards the nuke. So I have no pity. I don't feel bad for them at all because it's again kind of like what Hayes said in his tweet is like, okay, you might be comfortable on the map, but like NA nuke is not anywhere close compared to like anyone in Europe. So it's like this is going to be another basically. Hopefully, everyone understands like, hey, if you're going to play nuke as a North American, you might want to stick to playing as North American because right now you are just so far behind, and you're getting to see it right here because OpTic is, I believe, ranked 11th and EnVyUs is ranked 9th. Like they're close in rankings, similar play style, but right now it's just you can see the experience on this map show because EnVyUs the rotations are crisp. OpTic's not able to gain any ground, and when they do, they get picked off in the process. It's right now it's becoming too hard for them to even get rounds, and they need this round here to give them a shot.
And that's not going to be a good start for them as Kenny S finds the opening frag with the op once more, but Tarek and Naf to bring it back by 2 as NBK chimes in yet again to the 3 versus 3, but the HP so incredibly low for OpTic as they do find themselves to the man advantage. This is really kind of a space they should never have been given. Naf going to be able to nearly get away. Kenny catches him with a parting gift to the back. That's going to be the 2v2 now as both terrorists sit still on the A site, but the bomb's not down. Again, they have to be cautious because of their health. Now Stanislaw getting himself in towards heaven. The pop flash to clear out the close-up room. He will see the man on the ladder who is also tagged. So this one, it can go either way. It's going to be an incredibly close outcome as it's one flashbang for the CT side and Kenny S out of the equation. Maybe, just maybe, OpTic find themselves to 3.
Yeah, you know, it's once again, you just see every gun round with AKs, you lose, but then when you do these half buys or these force buys with like no utility, Tech 9 body armor, those are the rounds that they won. And that's not a good sign.
I think there's actually, I mean, there's a kind of like almost this mental edge, right, to being in the pistol armor buys because you have so little to lose.
Yeah.
And if you have so little to lose, then automatically your playstyle is going to transition up for that round because, again, you're playing it differently based off that.
You're in the effort attitude base. You're just like, well, we might as well just like throw the dart and hope it sticks. And it has twice of them so far, but the AKs have just not panned out.
Exactly. So we're going to see, of course, if OpTic can at least bring this back to a more respectable scoreline. But at the first time, we're going to go ahead and throw this one to the break. Quick little minute here to let everybody take a breath. I think they need it.
After that thrashing.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On screen, of course, the statistics from the first half of EnVyUs versus OpTic. Now, a bit of a blowout, but keep in mind we're playing on Nuke. Traditionally speaking, we have seen scorelines like this in the past. So, Garrett, what are the odds of OpTic bringing it back?
It's highly unlikely, but if there is a map to do it, this is the kind of map that it's known itself in its history of CS that Nuke has been a CD-sided map. You know, as of late, people have been catching on as this version of Nuke is becoming more CD-sided. So I wouldn't say it's not possible because I've seen bigger comebacks on Nuke before. It's just, I don't know, after you get thrashed like that in a half, it's kind of hard to basically bounce back mentally about that. And right now, for example, like we need to see Rush pick it up because right now he has 22 ADR, but you know, I can't blame him solo on this because as a whole, the team just was faltering. So you can't put it on any one player.
Keep in mind as well, if you take a real quick look at the 1vXs for Stanislaw, 3 clutches, 3 rounds won. That is a big statement as to how close OpTic were actually to getting shut out entirely of this half. But we are back into it. So OpTic, of course, it's a cliche to say, but this pistol round could mean so much as it will be the difference maker between their possible lower bracket push.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to OpTic do the same kind of pistol that most teams have been doing, where they push ramp for information and they just sit back and like let terrorists try to face. They find an opening. Well, instead they're going to be pushing outside. So it's there you go. Good job, Sam.
Excellent. Opening frags to the favor of OpTic, 2 of them at that. Now, KennyS does find himself into the vents. That's going to pull the positioning of Mixwell away. It is very much just these disconnected pushes all across the board, and they did fan out to the favor of OpTic. Now, it's a 4 versus 1 made 4v0. They had their back against the wall, and they do prevail. OpTic have a response.
Yeah, Mixwell's had enough of this. They are looking to go on the run right now. I didn't mind the actual idea of that shot because they're trying to get down the vent and squeeze ramp at the same time, but I think the timing of it was a little off because the guys that went down vent were maybe 5 seconds too early because the guys at ramp really weren't putting pressure on it. So all the eyes were on the guys trying to go down vent, and it did not pay off.
Of course, going to be coming into this one. EnVyUs so confident at this point with a scoreline to play with right into the force buy. Going to be coming in with some Deagles, Tech 9s, and plenty of Kevlar to keep them protected versus the umps of OpTic Gaming. Immediately, we have KennyS going to be getting himself to the outer catwalk. Of course, this will give him the vertical edge over Tarek, who's standing in the open, taking damage, nearly dead, and down he goes. It will be the trade frag to the 4v4 as the outside area falls to EnVyUs.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old saying in the Star Wars movies: if you have the higher ground, you have the advantage. It kind of just shows that once again, it's like Raptors need to be used way more on this map because I've seen it happen. Like there's so much success rate of having someone up there if you have men on the floor outside to keep the pressure, because it's one of those things where like even if you're down men, you can turn around because if you get that frag, and you can get towards the ladder, and you can flank the inside guys happen like all the time. And Heroic did a great job on that in the first map on Nuke that we just saw, because I think they had 2 guys on the strat wrap around.
That's great positioning from Stanislaw. He gives up ramp, allowing for Sixer to push forward, repositions himself unexpectedly out towards CT spawn, but as nice as his positioning was, that headshot from Apex was even better. What a fantastic way to at least bring EnVyUs into the competitive positioning of the 2 versus 3. Of course, still the weapons favoring the defense, but with Happy inside of Hut and Apex on the outer yard, they are going to be able to bring this one in from 2 separate directions. Now, I'm imagining, of course, they're going to see this split towards the A site, and the positioning from OpTic is in a very good state to receive exactly this.
Yeah, they're about to receive it all right. Basically, I love... I don't love anything about this map. My God, like when you lose these rounds, these force buy rounds, like the goal of it is if it's not gonna be a win, you know, if you get 3 CTs down,
yep,
you can make them force buy again, like 3 buys. You can chip them down so much that even when you win your first round, let's say on a 6-0 half, you can break them because you just want to chip them down. So right now is a prime example of that. 5 non-upgraded pistols. How are they going to do this? Are they going to throw away the round like a lot of teams do? Or they're actually going to try to play it slow and try to pick them off one by one?
What's scary about this, of course, is we know Envy, they're so good on these pistol rounds, right? They can be incredibly successful with them. It's not going to be panning out as of yet because Apex and MBK find 2, so I take that back as it's a 3 versus 3. What scares me here, Garrett, is that the fact that the EnVyUs side are dealing so much damage despite not even having weaponry to play with.
Yeah, these are the rounds you want to win cleanly because also you want to build up your economy. So the fact that they got 2 kills out of having basically, 2 Glocks and 2 upgraded pistols, like that's, I'm not going to say it's like a massive success, but you know, it's definitely something to be pleased about.
It's a hindrance.
Yes, it's definitely a nuisance on the side of OpTic, who's trying to make a comeback right now, because again, they're also a team that like to hold on to umps and like SMG. So even if they won that round cleanly, I assume they would have held on to it and just basically risked it so they could try to build their economy.
That's the thing, right? If they're not able to build that economic structure behind them, then the moment they're bottomed out and have to go into the save rounds, it is going to be enough for EnVyUs to push themselves to the very close finish line score. So it's dangerous, but at least OpTic's still looking strong off the start of the CT side. We do find ourselves here and now in round 19 with weapons aplenty. 10 primaries on the board, as nades aplenty as well for the T side. They're looking good, and they're taking it slow. So this will allow them, of course, to set out the play outdoors. And it seems as though if they head towards Secret, that Nafly has wind of exactly this.
Yeah, they start off like how OpTic normally does on this map, where they have 4 guys outside, but I think they're just looking for a push because OpTic is known to be aggressive. So I think they're just trying to find that pick and just see if they'll push into him and give him that opening. But, you know, Naf just being in that damn stereo that no one really likes that well, because it's just such a hindrance to like anything you want to do as a terrorist, because you can be taken outside and be up man, and just that one guy there hiding can just ruin everything.
So it's great that Stanislaw falls back for free, and there is a 1-to-1 trade over here towards the ramp room. Kenny S looking to create more space towards the bottom of heaven, and now they rotate down the ramp to their demise. Naf finding 1 before Kenny responds back. Still a player additionally up for the counter-terrorist, but Kenny's going to try to stick this bomb. So worst comes to worst, they lose the after plant, but they have still found success in this round, and the CT is starting to rotate down. We've got 1 man over towards decontamination, 2 moving over towards the control doors. And BK with the after plant, but very low HP. Kenny S winning that duel is big. He deals damage to the opposing 2. NBK, can you do this with only a smidgen of health? He finds the headshot, looks for the second, but Rush, peeking out wide very quickly, will be able to trade accordingly, and OpTic, once again, by only a sliver, have hung on for another round.
You know, if they want to win, it's obviously going to be just a pure dogfight, because they won that round with just 1 guy surviving. I'm looking for right now EnVyUs to basically rebuy, to basically try to punish them as they go on, because they're in this point right now where they're getting their bonus money. They can just chip them down, chip them down, chip them down. And again, the first round that OpTic loses at this point, they're still going to get broken. So even as they win these rounds and build up the score to be close to each other, EnVyUs is still in control. If with the economy right now, they're basically chipping down. So I don't know what to expect here, what they're going to do, because right now we haven't seen much of them on T side of this map.
I mean, it just goes to say, right? We mentioned before at the halftime that Stanislaw clutched all 3 rounds that they won. That is not the case for EnVyUs, as they have been finding bomb plants, kills, and map control aplenty. For them to come back into this gun round with a formidable buy, it's just going to be another difficult round for OpTic to deal with. The wall of smokes on the outer yard allows for them to take the secret presence, and Envy as well applying pressure towards ramp keeps Stanislaw from giving up this position. So EnVyUs putting themselves into great positions for some sort of an execution, and that kill is big. Great heads-up play from Nathan.
I don't know why you feel the need to push towards ramp there when there's a smoke down, the guy's spamming. He's probably trying to catch him on the reload, right? But it's just unfortunate that it happened. And now we see Tark on the op. So we were talking about Mixwell and not fly opping, and now we see Tark op. And they have that ability, but it's one of those things like, is Mixwell potentially not feeling the ops over at this event? Because I haven't seen him break it out that often yet.
Tarek was opting on the CT side of Nuke yesterday, so maybe that's just a pattern they want to try and continue forward with. Speaking of patterns, another frag for Naf. Excellently done. Still playing from inside the vents, but there's terrorists all around him. Literally every direction he looks, there's going to be one.
He doesn't know what to happen.
Exactly. When Sixer up close and personal, he prevails. Another frag for him, and an advantage now for OpTic as the bomb does go down. We have CTs inside of the vents, 3 of them. One man over towards Secret's going to find Hapti for free. Mixwell creating space now for the counter-terrorist. This should be a retake coming through, but Apex going to be playing the Thorn in the side. Kenny S as well. Naf takes one. Apex with another. It's a 1 versus 1, and an off on Tarek. He tries to close the distance, and Apex denies. OpTic Gaming, that one should have been yours.
It's like we just talked about how when you're downstairs and you have the bomb down, even on 3-on-4, it's not a guaranteed thing. And OpTic's you're seeing a different side of them right now where they're actually being very patient. They're trying to retake together when normally you see them be a little more aggressive and just go for it. I don't know if I wouldn't say they're tilted, but I definitely think they're mentally a little worried, and they're trying to not make mistakes and put them down numbers.
And look how this immediately forces OpTic into a very haphazard purchase. We've got 4 pistols, a scout on Tarek, and already a player down as they push aggressively towards the outer yard. They do at least find 1 frag in response, but you can see, of course, the terrorists reacting accordingly as they push into the A site, take all of this map control for free. They know everybody's outside, so why not capitalize on the opportunity? Happy still inside of Minis, looking for an engagement. He tries to take it to Mixwell, but to his demise, it's a 3 versus 3 here back on the table.
Yeah, they're just looking for anything right now. Like, they're just trying to find some AKs maybe to save the pull for the next round because, again, they're so low on the economy that this next round if they decide to buy is not going to be a pretty buy, I think. So, yeah, they're going to have M4s, but they're going to have very little utility. And as we talked in the first half, utility is very key on this map, especially to stop the rushes, to slow them down in the strats. Basically, because with that one molly, you can delay everything or stop a hit completely. So if a team doesn't execute on the inside site, one molly can just stop it. And then what do? You have to reset, potentially go towards ramp. There's so many things you can do with just one molly or one smoke to delay the T's on this map.
We will have OpTic, silver lining, buying back into this one, but there are limitations in the form of a scout. Tarek with some very passive positioning towards the T-spawn, CT, looking for the cross, but the smoke grenades to obscure his vision and also allow Apex into Mini. That's a frag for free, an immediate execution into the A site. The timing is superb as Tarek does take down 1 at the very, very least. Now Naf inside of the vents, looking to come up and catch them off guard. We do still have Stanislaw potentially looking for the flank, but the bomb's now planted, and this is a 4v4 after plant scenario.
So you get to see the rotation, the difference between the two teams. Well, how OpTic, whenever they try to take inside, even with pressure on the outside, there's always like 2 or 3 guys at least inside and quickly rotate. And that one right there, they got the 1 kill and they just walk in the site for free. There's like, you can tell the rotations right now for OpTic are not as experienced as EnVyUs.
There it is. Speaking of EnVyUs, all across the kill feed, 4 frags in a matter of seconds as they completely shut out that retake. So they have been able to get themselves on to number 15. Garrett, 1 left. And unfortunately for OpTic, there are 3 rounds that come to mind. The time they lose versus the pistol push of EnVyUs, the 1 versus 1 clutch from Sixer that breaks the economy of OpTic, and then, of course, when they falter here in the round, the 4 versus 2 after play on the B side. It's just those 3 rounds themselves have really kind of allowed for EnVyUs to grab that momentum and really hammer it home on the CT side, not to mention find early success on their terrorist side. When you don't have that wiggle room to play with, you're just going to lose this game. But it is an out-yard push. 5 players trying to get themselves all across, 4, but there is no smoke at the time for the first players, so damage dealt. NBK to prevail as he finds the frag, Naf to trade frag back. It's a 4v4, and still, though, the T side slowing it down.
They just tried to do the same thing that OpTic actually tried to do on their, when they thought EnVyUs was saving or like low on economy, they tried to go aside with a very little smoke to basically play the distance, and that didn't work out for OpTic. And it looks like it's the exact same thing again on the flip side, because again, they went outside, they got 2 guys picked, and right now it's the same kind of situation where like you have no control right now besides outside. So, how did Happy get there?
Happy, if I'm not mistaken, wrapped the outer yard, used the...
oh, no.
No, yes, he must have.
He had to have. I don't see any other way. So it seems like OpTic's just trying to retake sites, and that involves a lot of coordination experience, especially on a map that's still relatively new.
Happy with another, takes it back to the 2 versus 2. Kenny S incredibly hit in this engagement, and Mix is just going to be sitting on the bottom of the vent. Now his support is in the form of Stanislaw nearby inside of Hut, but it's a 2 versus 2 retake for potentially the game here, and a huge utility advantage to the favor of EnVyUs. Of course, there's still that Molotov from Happy, and he's in a very safe position, so he could nearly secure the bomb plant if he doesn't go down early. Now, of course, his teammate's out of the equation. Happy, you're going to have to clutch this one big, bud. Stan.
Yeah, decoy. Use that decoy.
Waiting for the peak. Excellent headshot. Wins the aim duel and keeps OpTic in it for at least one more.
Yeah, it's the same thing we just saw in the first half. Same kind of idea. It didn't work. I see the idea behind it, why it would work, is just, I don't know, they're just getting these like lucky headshots outside and it's just turning it around. But it's nice that they got the extra round and make it a little bit closer, but I'm pretty sure like this is just, right now they're just delaying the inevitable because EnVyUs just is so much more experienced on this map, and this map lends itself to teams that have better communication because there's so many things that can happen, so there's different levels. The communication on this map is more important compared to others like, let's say, Dust 2.
And this time we've got Envy once again going to the outer yard, and NBK catches Tarek mid-rotation. He's trying to get himself into the cover of the red box, but instead he's taken out for free. And that early deny could very well allow for the entire outer yard to fall to EnVyUs. Of course, you see them creeping forward, trying to use the cover of the smoke. Naf doesn't catch the top of the head, but he will find the second man. So that's now going to be responded back from Sixer to the 4v3. This is excellently done from EnVyUs as they look to push forward into the B site.
I can't say for certain, but it looked like Tarek was trying to push outside and maybe he had a bad spawn because he was just caught out wide in the open. And if you're going to do a push like that towards that red box, I think you need to do it based off the spawn because those 1 or 2 seconds delay could be the difference between the T's spotting you and the T's not.
Stanislaw drops the bomb, so it's going to be a 1 versus 4 clutch needed from him. He's already found 3, looking for Happy, but it's just too much to ask for. But a valiant effort nonetheless from the man left standing on the B site. My God, it's EnVyUs to take it over the line. And notably, I'm sure the analysts are going to talk about this one in a bit, but